It is calm today. Someone sings like the lark breaking out into clear sky. I have thought of you lately, and my being begins to sigh. I feel my whole now, experiences flowing to wonder. Happy memories, it takes so little to sing the songs of hope, as your words soothe me. And when I wish, the universe seems to set my sight and vision into an alignment of all things to come. I hear again all new meanings born as my life becomes bliss. And all things come about when I wish, when I wish, when I wish, when I wish.
Well, I'd heard of Highroyds growing up in Leeds as a teenager in the 1960s. Quite often people would say things like, oh, you belong in Menston, or you're going to end up in Menston. And at the time I thought it was a kind of generic term like Bedlam or some sort of prison or something. I didn't relate it to an actual place, and it was only when I began to know about the mental health system I realised it was an actual building and it was a hospital.
I first of all became ill when I was about 20, and I went first to St James's, then to Highroyds. And Highroyds was a bit of a strange place, but I was in 2 years. Yeah, so I remember it quite well. I remember the people there, but you have good times as well with people who were there. But it was good to get out in the long run, but some people are just staying there for years. I think it's about 1 in 4, I think, people get some kind of mental illness. But that means there's a lot of people have an illness. You can look on the street and certain people. But I think it's because we're going through hard times as well,
My name's Anne Pickard and I worked at Highroyds Hospital on Denton Ward, and I was there from 1989 to 94. I wasn't a nurse, I was what we called a healthcare assistant. There was quite good nurses when I was there, I felt, and we did things like occupational therapy used to come twice a week and people could do crafts and things. We did relaxation classes, and I ran a little women's group where I used to take Woman's Hour and then we'd meet together and talk about it and things. The ward was classed as acute psychiatry, and it was for people under 65 years of age, and it was supposed to be short stay, but sometimes people were in 6 or 7 months. Medication was the main treatment, but also they had one-to-one sessions with the nurses, like counselling, cognitive therapy and various other sessions like that, plus seeing the psychiatrist on a regular basis.
About 16 years ago I went to Highroyds for the first time, innit? Yeah. First time I went I was on Clifton Ward, and then when I went back in, because I had my son, I went on to mother and baby unit on Denton Ward. It was a little nursery and I'd sleep in the dorm, but like staff would look after him, and if he woke up there was a key to lock the door. You had to lock him in, in case anybody kicked off. So and I spent time in there with him, and then I used to walk him up and down wards and corridors.
Most of the mums were quite psychotic when they came in, but they wanted to stay with the baby and bond with them.
Sometimes I got a bit angry and I'd cut myself and stuff and flip out, so they'd pin you to the floor and there'd be about 5 of them on top of you. And you'd be wrestling with them and they'd inject you with Acupase to put you to sleep. I never got in seclusion room. They just sat by your bed, one-to-one. And if you went to the toilet, there was half in the toilet door, and if you went for a bath, they'd be sat in the bathroom with you. I
was always very much against ECT. And I always had very mixed feelings about it as a treatment. But when mums came in very psychotic with newly born babies, I mean the youngest one we had was 5 days old when mum came in, ECT was like a miracle. They became well so quickly, and it just seemed to work in that case very, very well, and then they could continue to bond with the child and go home.
I had 12 zaps of it, 12 goes. That's like one session. I had ECT to take you down long corridors to this little room, and they took you inside and showed you all equipment and everything. And then they'd put you to sleep and do what they did, and then you come back and they'd put you in this little room and give you a cup of tea and a piece of toast, and you'd have a headache as if you'd been on drink forever, like an hangover. It was a bad headache. Then they'd take you back to wards. It just depends if you were sectioned and you refused, or they were still allowed to do it on a section. They're allowed to do a lot of things on a section that they're not when you go voluntary.
I can remember the first time I ever was asked to support somebody down to have ECT. I'm quite a fainty person, and the injections and things don't do. And I'd seen films of it where people are sort of jerking on the bed, and we went down to this room, and there was some staff, and the doctor came out, and it was a lady, just to lay on the bed, and they just gave her an injection, and they just put these electrodes on her head, and the only thing that moved was her big toes, just went like that. And I was like, is that it? And I said, yes, she's had it. And when you see films or talk about it, you've all this thing of people going in spasm. And I do think originally they didn't give them a muscle relaxant. But now that was it. And it took a few seconds. And then they were taken to a recovery room. Then they had tea and biscuits. And then we went back up to the ward. And I was very nervous about seeing it. And I was always glad I did, because it dispelled all my myths.